thank you, Bjorn. Yes, so I manage a facility at Curtin University called the HIVE, which stands for the Hub for Immersive Visualisation and eResearch. My co-authors on this paper are Wesley Lamont and Daniel Adams, who work with me at the HIVE at Curtin University in Perth in Western Australia. This is a panoramic view of the HIVE, and we've got 4 large-scale displays in the HIVE, in fact 5. This picture shows on the left, just coming out of frame, is the tile display, which is a 24 megapixel display. The cylinder display, which is a 180-degree field of view, 3 metres high, projection display with 3 projectors. The next display is the wedge display, which is 2 rear projected panels. Both the cylinder and the wedge are in 3D using active 3D glasses. In between the two here is actually something called a hologram table, which we had a keynote in the last face-to-face meeting we had, which was from Euclidean Technologies. They developed the hologram table, that sits there. And then we've got this display here, which is the dome display, which is when you stand at the apex of the display, it fills your entire peripheral and primary field of view. So I've actually just said that, but the HIVE's role is it's funded by the university to encourage and enable the use of visualisation technologies in research projects right across the university. And we're very privileged to work with some very smart academics right across the university in all sorts of different disciplines. So just in a little bit more detail, the HIVE cylinder display, again, it has 3 projectors, operates in stereoscopic 3D using active 3D glasses. We use Volfoni Edge RF glasses in this particular display, and the view is just phenomenal. It's just amazing to see. The wedge display, again, we use active 3D glasses on this. The reason we have these 2 different displays is that some software does not know how to project onto a curved screen, so having flat screens is actually advantageous. Having 2 just makes it a little bit more fancy and is good for comparison purposes from time to time. And so we mainly see this display being used for scientific visualisation purposes. Then the HIVE dome display is a single projector system. The projector is sitting up here in the top through a fisheye lens, and it throws an image across that whole display. It's a 4-metre diameter half dome. The HIVE was originally established in 2013, so our display systems were getting a little bit old, well and truly out of warranty, and we needed to update. So this is a shot of the cylinder display, which is our main display, with 3 projectionDesign F35 projectors on the ceiling here, each projecting onto a section of the display, and they're all warped and blended to provide a continuous view across that view. So these are the projectors we're using on both the cylinder, the wedge and the dome, and we were considering what the options were for replacement of these. So these were 1920 by 1200 resolution projectors, 7,500 ANSI lumens, a single chip DLP, and importantly, this in small letters here, 6 times colour cycle speed. I'll mention that in a few seconds, and it can also do 120 hertz 3D. And in upgrading the systems, we wanted to, on our wish list was brighter projectors, higher resolution. We'd love 4K if we could get it. 2.7K was also a consideration. We needed to retain stereoscopic 3D capability. We would like 3-chip DLP if it was possible with no rainbow effect, and laser light engine projectors were also available, so we were wanting that if that was also possible as well, to avoid the problems of replacing lamps and the constant decline in brightness from when you first put a new lamp in. So some of the considerations we had to look at with comparing all the different projectors was some are native 4K, so they've actually got full 4K resolution. 4K usually refers to the horizontal resolution of the projector, and that can either be 3860 or 4096. But there are also some projectors that use a wobulation technique. So a lower resolution sensor, I'll show a slide on this in a few seconds, which wobbles between 2 locations to give you a perceived increase in resolution. Colour cycle speed is something that's not normally included on specifications, but is so important because it directly affects how much rainbow effect is visible on the display. And so we borrowed many projectors and actually measured the colour cycle speed of those projectors. Of course, that's only for single chip DLP solutions. For 3-chip, they don't have a colour cycle speed, so you don't get the rainbow effect at all. Acoustic noise and also brightness were considerations as well. So for those unfamiliar with how a single chip DLP projector works, there is a digital micro mirror device sitting here which shows a different image when the light source is filtered with red, green and blue filters here, and it is literally a wheel that spins around, and as that wheel spins around you have different colours being projected onto the DMD, and the reflection is then the full colour image. And if it rotates fast enough, you get a full colour image. Here's a micrograph of a DMD with an ant's leg for comparison. Each one of these little mirrors is normally 12 microns in size, and it rotates plus or minus 12 degrees. Absolutely amazing technology. Wobulation. This is a process whereby, again, you have a low resolution DMD, and it wobbles between two locations. There's even 4-way wobulation, which has a lower resolution sensor again, or possibly just using it to try and increase the resolution. But as you can see, between these two locations, there is overlap between the different mirror positions, and as a result, although in theory there is the full 4K resolution because it's addressing all of those locations, because of the overlap you do get a bit of blurring between the individual positions. So if you're wanting to read text at 4K, it might not be as sharp. So reviewing all of our different solutions, and in our case we ended up going for a solution from a company in Manchester in UK called Digital Projection, and it was a system called the Satellite MLS standing for Modular Light Source or Laser Source. This was a 4K projector, or is a 4K projector, native resolution, 4096 by 2160, uses an RGB laser light engine, 3-chip DLP, so therefore no rainbow effect, and also stereoscopic 3D capable. Something we weren't originally looking for was something with a remote head, meaning that the light source, which is this little box here, is connected via a fibre optic cable to the head, and they can be separated by considerable distance. We've got them at 15 metres separation, so the remote head is in our server room and the heads are in our main active floor area, and that has the important effect of moving the heat and sound generating sound generating source away from the active area where you've got customers and users. So here's a photograph of the system in use. This is a program that was developed in-house. Some psychology students were doing some measurements on something called goal striving, and they had I think upwards of 80, maybe more, subjects doing a bike ride experiment, and the image shown on the display here is very sharp and nice, and this has been generated in a program written in Unity. And here's the 3 heads on the ceiling here, and you can actually just see the fibre optic leading out the back there, and our server room is in the back. Here's a close-up of the projectors, and we've also got a camera here which is used for the automatic alignment of and creation of the correct geometry on screen. Here is the dome display with the upgraded system. So we use the same projectors for the cylinder and the dome display. So that provides a level of redundancy. If we ever get a failure of one of our projectors or projector heads, we can easily swap between systems to maintain whichever display that we want. And here's a zoom back showing the projector head, and on the the lens that we're using here is a fisheye lens to allow us to project across this whole surface. Here's the laser light sources in our server room, and after we did the installation, we did some comparisons. Here's our older projection system, and just using a simple lux meter, measuring at 35 lux, and with the new projection system, roughly 3 times as bright, and you can see the pixels are much smaller as well, which is great. At this time, we decided not to upgrade the wedge display. I mentioned before that the colour wheel speed or the colour cycle speed is often something that's not discussed. It's not listed in specifications, but that's actually the reason why we rejected and decided not to upgrade the display, the projectors on this display at this time, because the projectors we were being offered were only 2 times colour wheel speed, and that produced a lot of rainbow effect, and it was just very jarring. So we decided to stay with our existing projectors. Those are now 10 years old, but we've got spares, so we can keep that running for quite some time. So we run a lot of different projects and programs through these displays. You've probably heard me talk before about shipwreck imaging, and we do a lot of that. Here's a 3D render of one of our shipwreck models, it's rendered to look correct on this particular display, not from this angle, of course. And there's the projectors on the ceiling. So it's been a very successful install. We're even on the front page of Projector Central, showing our new systems. And we're very fortunate to be working with some very smart people and working with very interesting projects which produce great visuals. And we're very pleased to be wowing our audiences very widespread. So are there any questions?